Bearded Biomed.
Welcome, everybody. It's good to be back on the mic, speaking to you again. I know it might be a little surprising that I'm here speaking to you today. Surprised me as well. I've been on the fence back and forth on if I wanted to do an episode before the end of the year. As many of you know, I took a hiatus back in October because my father passed away unexpectedly on October 10th. And it's been a long process, grieving and dealing with just everything that comes with that. I was his only son. Me and my dad were best friends, and it's been a struggle. Besides coming to grips with it emotionally, mentally, I also have to handle the estate. And I will tell you folks that if there's any word of wisdom that I can give you in the entirety of me doing this podcast, is you never know the last time you will speak to the people you love. You can plan for it. You can have, confidence that, nothing's going to happen because you just spoke to them. But you don't know. I had spoken to my father on October 9th at 6:30 p.m. at night. And he passed away the following morning. So again, do not take for granted the people closest to you. Revel in every moment that you have with them. Appreciate the laughs. Recognize the low moments. But always be aware that inevitably we're going to lose the ones we love. And that goes for your family members and your loved ones, knowing that not every day is guaranteed. And we need to make the most of what we have here today. Like I said, I've been battling if I wanted to get on the mic or not. And to be completely honest with you, I still kind of don't feel up to it. But the reason I'm here speaking to you today is, one, I'm doing it for myself. Speaking it is therapy. But two, I owe it to my father. As you are listening to this now, while it's not the exact moment I'm recording it, December 2nd was the day that I launched the Bearded Biomed podcast in 2021. Now, as I've stated many times before, this podcast wouldn't have existed if it hadn't been for my wife finally telling me to do it. But it was also my father, my dad, my biggest supporter, that told me what he got to lose. It's something you want to do, right? It's so weird looking back at everything that has happened to me in 2022, and it almost feels like a movie to me. probably not a good movie that anybody would watch, but a movie in the point that there's so many consequential or circumstantial happenings during this year that make this a monumental moment in my life. This year will be a year that I look back on both fondly and tragically at the same point. I love being in Biomed. I love every aspect of the job. I love the impact that we make on people's lives, both those that we work around, being the materials managers, the nursing directors, the nurses, the doctors, the surgical techs, the anesthesiologists, the medical admin, even the people, that are doing odd-end jobs around the hospital. We all interact with them and we make their lives better in one way or another. But most importantly, we make patients' lives better because we're doing the work day in and day out to ensure that they're getting the most optimum healthcare they possibly can and ensuring that they're safe while they're getting it. That's so special. And that was the reason I started the podcast, because I'm tired of the notion that I always have to explain what we even are. I'm sick of the notion that we still have to make the world aware that we exist, even though it's, it makes complete sense. Yeah, I understand that job's there. So yes, the mission remains the same. It will only grow, but the mission is to build awareness. Make this a sought-after career. Make people as dedicated and as motivated and as passionate about being a biomed or what the biomed does day in and day out, as much as myself and many of my colleagues doing incredible work across this community. Now back to what I was talking about with all the aspects that have happened to me this year. So I launched the podcast December 2nd, 2021. I threw out a trailer and a first episode. And from every week thereafter until I ended season 1, I threw out an episode. Just speaking my mind, talking about stories of frustrating or maybe funny circumstances that I've experienced in my career. And then I talked about aspects that are more geared towards a certain subject, whether it was education, cybersecurity, relationships with different departments, bringing on individuals and interviewing them. Funnily enough, when I started the podcast, I didn't expect to do as many interviews as I have done. One, because I was still nervous about talking to people, but behind the mic, I grew comfortable interviewing people. My first interview, David Brodenham, which he didn't have to do it, but everybody that knows David knows he's just as passionate about the field and loves to promote it in any which way he can. And from there on, it just took off. Until I got the idea that, hey, maybe I need to start sending people emails and letting them know what I'm about. So I sent an email to 24/7 Magazine's editor. I sent an email to MD Publishing. I sent an email to Amy. And I just sent emails. I even, foolishly enough, I sent emails out to Forbes magazine and Joe Rogan and all kinds of individuals asking if I can, do something with them. Let's partner up. That's my key phrase. I don't want to do business. I want to do partnerships. It feels more endearing and it feels more just, it feels better to me. It doesn't feel as slimy as like a business deal. Come to find out, I ended up being a co-host with Carrie, the chief editor at 24/7 Magazine for the MedCore podcast, because oddly enough, they were looking to get into that realm. And from there on after, we had episodes coming once a month. And of course, me and Carrie's friendship grew, and I'm completely appreciative of her passion for supporting the biomed field. Notably, the greatest thing that she does every single year for our field is the HTM salary survey, which I still wish more people participated in. And for those that do participate in, I surely hope that they're giving, their real salary, but neither here nor there. But that's a big deal. And Carrie started that. So, Carrie, I thank you for letting me be a part of everything you do. I also got a hold of MD Publishing, and they allowed me to be a part of their platform. They took my interview with David and they put it onto Tech Nation Podcast. So people could get a CE credit by listening to me interview David. People were able to get their certification credit by listening to me talk about what I love to do with David. It still gives me chills. I never would have thought that, I'd have some kind of impact. And so many people downloaded that interview too. It was so cool to me, knowing that I could have just a minuscule impact on my fellow biomeds professional career. So first and foremost, I appreciate being a part of that. They also, this past April, when they had their MD Expo in Atlanta, gave me a booth, and I was able to do my first live show for Bearded Biomed. And to be quite honest, I threw money down. I went full bore. I committed. I went and got badging. I went and got banners. I got just upgraded all of my equipment, my mics, my soundboard, everything. Researched, did my homework, and spent out of my pocket, completely funded by me, to fund all of this, get myself down there. I spent thousands of dollars to make that happen with all the equipment and everything. And that's where I met so many people that I can now wholeheartedly call friends today. I finally got to meet Sherrill, which, as I've alluded to before, Sherrill's podcast, HTM Insider, sparked the cogs going in my mind that, hey, maybe I could do this too. And she supported me. She didn't see me as, the enemy or, competition. We supported each other. And then I met Bryant, who later told me that he was inspired to start his podcast, HTM Online, because of mine. And I supported him. And I finally met, so many people that, are now a regular number in my phone that, we keep in contact and talk about things within the field, which I will touch on the long list of people that have impacted my life just a little bit. And then I went to Amy in May in my hometown, San Antonio, thanks to Danielle and Brian, who do so much for the field that, my tiny minuscule podcast can never, possibly show the level of appreciation and impact that, one, I have for them, and two, that they bring to the field. So Danielle and Brian, if, for some reason you happen to be listening, thank you very much for coming on my podcast, for supporting my podcast, for giving me a media pass so I can go around and meet people and understand just the medical device infrastructure that is engulfing, at the Amy Exchange. It's something that I hope everybody gets to experience once in their career at a minimum. I got to guest star on several other people's podcasts. I got to write articles in magazines. I got to make Tech Nation's first 40 under 40 list. Finally, I got my CHTM certification. I got to help other people get their certifications that they're going after, whether it was helping with study material or giving advice or just motivating them. I got to inspire people to get into our field because they listened to my podcast just randomly, or they were in school and they listened to it and it drove them to, make sure they wanted to stay in this field. And experience like that, I can never take that for granted. It's something that, people talk about wanting to inspire people and make an impact and, build relationships, help fuel the community. But when you actually get to have that feeling that hits you right here of raise somebody else up and then see that you're doing it or them tell you without you expecting it, it's unexplainable. And then, of course, what made this year so incredible was I got married and I found the one person in the world that understands me wholeheartedly and supports me like no other and is my best friend and that I love more than anything in the world. And I get to call her my wife. And unfortunately, like I said, I lost my dad literally a week before he turned 55. When we had discussions on taking trips together, making memories, having plans to do different things, discussing goals, having phone calls and visits and, holidays together. I don't have one single bad memory of my father. Not one. And, I'm grateful for that I had the relationship that I had with my father. But it just makes it that much more difficult because I have to sit through Thanksgiving and Christmas and birthdays and other life-changing events that I'll never get to have those moments with my dad again. And it's hard. Like I said, my dad was my greatest supporter. He always told me how proud of me he was and how grateful that, I'm making something of myself and having a good life and that I grew up to be a good person. And I really contribute a lot of that to his example. Many people that know me personally, my work ethic, my view on life, my view on how I treat people and talk to people, that's by my dad's example. When I had my dad's funeral and all those people came, because my dad worked at Hobby Lobby for over 20 years. Everybody said everybody liked him. He always would greet everybody in the morning, even if, he didn't work with them. It didn't matter. He would always put a smile on somebody's face. He was a person that everybody loved and appreciated and would want to befriend. And, I hope I can live by his example. I guess by the point y'all listen to this, it'll be okay to say, but Scotch makes this easier too. The thing that made this even more difficult for me was the fact that I couldn't tell my dad that he was going to be a grandfather. And, that's taken me even more time to process that I have to really take an assessment of what are my goals now? Because everything changes. That's right. I'm going to be a dad. And I'm so excited. You know, me and the wife weren't trying, but if it happened, it happened. And what do you know, right when we got comfortable with it not happening, it happened. Kind of funny how that works, but yeah, it's very, you know, whether you might not be down with the vibe of this episode, you know, maybe it's too sad, I don't know. What I'm trying to get across is this episode for me is about reflecting on everything that I've experienced this year and what that means for me going forward. I have a son to think about that's going to be coming into my life very soon. 2023 is going to be another special year for me because I get to be a father. You know, we think about what kind of world do we want to leave for our children to have them grow up in? What kind of example do you want to exhibit? How do you want to parent? How do you want to transverse everything that you've experienced and make sure they don't have to go through everything that you did, but also set them up for success, just maybe with a little less trial and tribulation. You know, I see other colleagues of mine, and their kids are getting into the biomed field, and you know that's so cool to think that there's a literal generation of biomeds. And you know, am I going to push my son to be a biomed? No, I mean, I'm going to gingerly, you know, nudge him, be like, hey, this would be a really cool opportunity for you. But I think, you know, one of the reasons I gravitated towards this was because I didn't have a sense of self or really aspirations growing up. And, you know, the Army kind of instills that in you, whether you want to or not. Your aspirations are to listen to me, private. Anywho, you know, I want him to be who he wants to be. And that was what was so incredible when I look back at, you know, my dad, because, you know, I didn't get to grow up with my dad. My mom and my father divorced when I was 1. And it was a lot of getting to see him on holidays and birthdays and, you know, not getting the amount of time I wish I could have with my dad. But the memories that I do remember from my childhood are my dad making those trips to see me. And I'm hoping that I can take the passion that I've had throughout my life with, you know, the next goal that I have for myself and channel that into making my son better than I am. Because I truly feel that's what my dad did. And that's why I care so deeply about what I do and want to give back to this community so vividly. Because to me, that's what really separates individuals. There's people that talk and complain about things. There's people that go out and, you know, make changes happen. And then there's people that just sit on the sidelines and watch both of those sides and, you know, just form their own opinion in quiet. And I don't want to look back on my legacy in this career field and feel like I did not do anything to uplift our profession. Before I go into the next thing, I made a little list because there's another thing that blows my mind is there's just so many people that have either supported me or given me a platform that I just had to make a list so I could. And again, if I did forget somebody, it is not because you weren't mentioning. It was more so that I'm an idiot, and I hope you forgive me. So the team at MD Publishing, Jamie, John Creek, Kristen, Megan, Emily, Sydney, Kennedy, thank you all. I'm very proud to be part of, within the ecosystem of the MD Publishing family. Medcore, Carrie, again, sister from another mister. I appreciate you. Bryant, Sherrill, Justin from Better Biomed. I look forward to seeing what else we accomplish together, sir. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you. Jake, thank you so much for your support, brother. You're a good dude, man. And I appreciate everything you do for the community, even though it's probably a lot of it's behind the scenes. Dustin Zimmerman with Avanti. Man, words cannot explain what appreciation I have for everything you do for our field, and everybody at Avanti as well. Fantastic group of people. Dustin Smith, Heidi, and Nikki, team from Navolo. It's been an absolute pleasure, getting to know y'all over the year, and it was so cool to meet you guys. But Dustin especially, you've truly become like a brother over this year, and I'm grateful to have you in my life, and you're a fantastic guy. And, sometimes you just got to slow down and just, take a breath, because you're always running 100 miles an hour. You make me feel like I'm running slow, man. So I appreciate you. Bill and Monty from CBET School. Again, you guys are doing incredible work. I loved having you guys on the podcast and help promote and, build awareness for the programs you guys are working on, especially with VR technology, 3D modeling. I look forward to seeing what you guys have coming in 2023, because I think it's going to be game changing. Andrea and Gabriella from Angie Biomedical. I've loved having the ability to uplift and promote, support any female entrepreneur, but also those involved in our field, and especially two people that, I can see the passion and that are just really good people. I wish you guys all the best. Always a pleasure getting to work on any activity with y'all. Mayra, you've always been a supporter. And Biomed Girl YouTube channel, I hope y'all go check her out. The drive of this woman, the work ethic, the just sincere heart that she has cannot be underappreciated whatsoever. I'm glad that I got to meet you and do projects with you, and I'm sure we'll do more in the future. Jennifer, I know you're one of my biggest supporters, and I'm glad that I was finally able to get you on a podcast as well. You're one of those other people that do so much behind the scenes for our community that, I will definitely give you a moment of shine here that it has not gone unnoticed. You are a fantastic person, and I'm very grateful to have you in my life as well. Steven Jaworski, Bear Trap, Wojtek Medical. I thought it was so cool as a biomed to be able to support another biomed that saw an issue within our field, created a company, and created a problem solution for that, and then allowed me to, partner with him to, help elevate his company. Biomed supporting biomeds, that's what it's all about. And Steven's a great guy. I really hope you guys, check out his company and support him, because the drive is there. And I can only see great things for him and his company going forward. Andrea, I still have no clue why you're having difficulty finding applicants to join your team over there, because Andrea is one of those people that I would absolutely love to work for. She wholeheartedly loves this field as much as I do, maybe even more. And you can see that in just how she carries herself, how she talks about it, how long she's dedicated herself to this field. You're supporting me as well. It's just the little things like people wanting to show support and be there for you. And I appreciate it. Rian, the lady with, a drive that never stops. And we all know Rian as like the person that probably will outwork anybody and will be more credentialed than anybody on this planet, just because she has that drive and that will to constantly be better at what she does. You're somebody that I've followed many years in this field, and you motivate me to be a better biomed. And I think that's what we need more of in this community. We need individuals that have no problem showcasing the field and willing to let people know that they can be better. And you certainly do that. Ivan Joyner, creator of the Biomed 101 app. This is one of those individuals that I was talking about that literally take the moment to see a issue and create a resource for it. I get messages, Justin gets messages, multiple people get emails from people all over the world when it pertains to biomed. Where do I go to school? What education? How do I get a job? These questions and more come in on a very frequent basis. And Ivan wanted to help support those individuals, and he created a mobile platform to give them those resources and tools to set them up for success, to either be a better biomed or lay the groundwork for them to have the resources to be a biomed. And I thought that was really, really cool. If you haven't looked at it, or, anybody asks you from overseas, hey, what can I look at? Biomed 101 app, Google Play, Apple Play Store. Paul and Michael from Rigel Medical, PyCube, Iwin from Surface Medical, Matt from ACG, and Ira from RPI, and of course, Janesh from Uptime Health. Thank you guys for, of course, coming on the podcast, but also supporting me, and Sean, working with you through the Healthcare Direct USA, seeing where that platform wants to go. I really look forward to seeing how much that grows as well. And again, if I miss anybody, I'm sorry. Doing this, putting myself out here is one thing. There are moments that I don't care what anybody says that you're wondering, is what I'm doing really making a difference? Or, how long can I keep this up? Or what's my next goal? What's my next battle plan for taking this to the next level? My problem is I'm always constantly thinking about how to go to that next level without taking a moment to appreciate everything that's happened through the journey of it. And I think after all the experiences that I've had this year, especially after losing my dad, I've come to the conclusion in my mind that I just want to slow down a little bit and just take a breath and enjoy the moments that I have with the people in my life, and enjoy the work I do, even more so, just to get back to the root of it. Because that's what makes life special. I guess to cap off this episode, where do I see Bearded Biomed going? I want to continue to grow the awareness. I want to continue growing my platform. So the biggest thing you can do to support me is, if you listen, let somebody else know that's either a biomed or maybe even a nurse, or, anybody you talk to that listens to podcasts, or to say, hey, check out this, point them to my trailer. If they find it interesting, great. If not, that's fine. I truly hope that everybody has a wonderful holiday season with their families, their loved ones, that they take a moment to appreciate the people in their lives, the impact you make on a day-to-day basis within our field. Going forward is, of course, I'm going to continue to do Bearded Biomed related content. We have a finite amount of hours during the day that we're doing biomed work. The rest of that, we're experiencing our personal lives. We're, dealing with families, with kids, with going to school, with our health, our mental health, the intangibles that are just the fabric interwoven within our lives. I might want to talk about it going into next year. I might just want to sit down and have an episode and tell you what it was truly like going through my grieving process, what you can expect through dealing with a close loved one's estate. Maybe I want to talk about the ins and outs of what I'm going through as a new dad. Maybe I want to talk about food. I don't care. The point I'm trying to say is, another key issue we have in the field is that we talk about HTM burnout and we talk about workload management and this and that. We also need to recognize that at the end of the day, we are people and we have other aspects of our lives that make us who we are besides the biomed portion. So if I ever so feel inclined to talk about something that may not be entirely biomed related, I hope you'll listen. If you might want to give me crap about that, since this is a biomed podcast and I want to talk about an episode where it's not biomed related, well, I don't care. Because it's my podcast and it's what I want to do. So, but anywho, again, everybody that has supported me this year and going forward and understands the mission that is laid upon us and the one task that I am taking upon and going to continue driving forward. I thank you for that support. I hope you'll join me in that endeavor, and may the beard be with you. Bearded Biomed.